Okay, and we're live.
Cool. Hi friends, welcome to the DiRT Show Live. You're watching us coming live from Southam, the racing studio. I'm joined by Paul Coleman, Chief Game Designer. Say hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Say hi, Christina.
Hello, Darren.
Senior Community Manager on DiRT and Micro Machines and all of our products. So we've got an exciting show for you today. Sorry, am I in shot now?
You are now in
That's
shot.
a very intimate touch. I enjoyed that.
All Paul's touches are intimate.
Every single one.
So we're going to be giving you an update from the studio, the development of the game, and we're going to be showing you some stages driven by our rally driver Michael Robson, the second fastest person in the racing studio. So first we should talk about where we are in the game. So we've just gone gold.
Yep. Yeah. I think
So discs are being printed as we speak.
Yep.
So from a studio point of view, we're playing the game now and making sure it's the experience that we hoped it'd be, and playtesting multiplayer. It's been really cool for me because like 3 out of 5 days a week I'll just be playing multiplayer, which is awesome. Everyone in the studio is having a great time. I know for you, you've been doing a lot of press recently, so you're not in the office so much, but
Yeah, when I am in, I tend to drop into your multiplayer sessions and
kick our asses. And
well, yeah, look, there is a little bit of that, unless Robson's playing. But yeah, then off jet setting around the world, trying to promote the game as much as possible. So yeah, this is my last day in the office until June.
Yeah. And you'll be off on another lovely holiday.
Another holiday next week. Yes.
What about you, Christina? How's it been for you?
Yeah, so we had the preview event yesterday in London, which we showed some clips of, and hopefully there'll be lots more content coming out of that from our lovely visitors who came to see us. But yeah, it's all hands on deck at the minute. Obviously, you guys like sim races. We've just announced Formula 1 2017 with classic cars, so it's been a busy week. And then also, obviously, Micro Machines comes out next month too, so it's very busy for all of Codemasters at the minute. But yeah, DiRT's the first game out. It's the one I'm most excited about because I've worked on the DiRT game since I joined Codemasters, so I'm so ready for you guys to get a look at this game and start playing it basically.
It's really exciting. This is the best bit of game development because this is when all your hard work hopefully starts paying off and people like what you're showing. So I know a lot of people have been streaming DiRT 4 content over the last couple of weeks, but I think what the core community want to see is they want to see simulation handling, and they want to see long stages, and they want to see stages generated, and they want to see the wind up to the stage, and they want to see the wind down at the end, and they want to see the car driven properly. So hopefully that's what Mike's about to provide for you.
So just one note on this, Mike hasn't actually got any game audio, so
He's got his excuses in early.
Yep.
hopefully you can hear how awesome the Lancia 037 sounds though. This is one of the cars that we've had recorded on the lead up to this game. Some of you guys may have seen the video that Shaw and our audio team put together on the recording of this car, but now you can actually hear it in game being used in anger. Mike is driving in Twilight through the Spanish stage, and it's I think you set it to pretty high complexity and maximum length, so this should be quite a long experience. Should be. I'm guessing slightly. But yeah, hopefully you can see the car moving around nicely. Obviously improvements to the way that the aerodynamics and the chassis have been modelled, that coupled with some work on the tarmac tyre model as well, should mean that you can really attack these tarmac stages a lot more aggressively than perhaps you could in DiRT Rally, so big improvements there. Not to mention the fact that this is a stage that has been generated just prior to Mike driving this, so he won't have seen these corners before in this sequence, and as a result he's having to find his way through the stage. We've got any questions coming in with that?
Yep, so we've got some questions flying in. We've had some previously from our community guys who knew that the DiRT show was coming with very little notice, so do you want to dive straight into those and then I'll go to some of the live ones?
That's right, yeah. So Warp Engage from the forums asked in free play if you guys already decided what classes will race which other classes. So like, can you set up an event where R2, R4 and R5 race together like in a regional championship?
So we are kind of limiting which classes race against each other, but wherever there is an appropriate pair that matches up, then we'll allow them to race side by side. It's something that we go a bit wider with in career than in free play. The decision hasn't been fully locked down yet though, so I will post the full information on the forums. I guess would probably be the best place to do it, to describe each and every variation that's in there. But
you get a really good spread in career. The other thing to say is that when Clubs goes live, you will also be able to set up your own events where other vehicle classes can race against each other. And you can actually, it hasn't got to be locked to an entire vehicle class, you can pick and choose which vehicles are eligible for use. So take one from one class, one from another. So yeah, hopefully you'll be able to get the experience that you want. The next question is, will you be able to sort leaderboards with assists and peripherals? So the answer to that is, on the website, yes you will. We'll have a much broader range of filtering options on the website to what we've got in game. But yeah, peripherals will be sorted in the filters. The other question is, we'll be able to pitch ourselves against each other players in custom club-like settings with a certain rule set and selection of assists on or off. So yeah, as a league admin, as a club admin, you can set up events to be assists on or off. You can't go into the detail on each individual assist, but you can disable all assists for all participants. But because of the way clubs works, we expect you to just invite people that will adhere to the spirit of the event you've set up. So yeah, you'll be able to get that experience.
Alright, shall I dive in with a live question? You ready for it?
One live from Facebook.
Yeah, so live from Facebook from Brendan Harmsworth. Is there a Gymkhana area like there was on Dirt 3? Who wants to take that?
I'll take it. So we certainly haven't called any of the areas in the game Gymkhana. However, we do have an open compound in which you can play this mode which we call Joyride. It's essentially a great place for you to kind of practice car control. We've set up some challenges in there. We've got time attack challenges and smash attack challenges. Time attack is essentially running around a course and trying to set the best time you possibly can. We've got some green pickups that will stop the clock and some red pickups which will add time onto the clock. So the idea is to turn 2 or 3 laps and try and beat the bronze, silver or gold medal time. If you beat the gold medal time, then your time gets posted on the global leaderboards. Smash attack is actually similar to a mode that you might play in Dirt 3, where you have to smash as many of the polystyrene blocks as you possibly can within the time limit. Again, if you smash all the blocks, it's how quickly did you manage to do that. So they're great fun modes. They're not part of the career mode, but you can go off and do this as a bit of a palate cleanser away from the main career, something to do away from the spotlight of competition. So yeah, it's good to have it back in the series. I think it's something that we it's a really nice way of sort of perfecting your car control, and it's something we haven't had around certainly since Dirt 3 and Showdown, so it's good to have it back in there.
Great, so we have another easy question from Mike Harper. When's it out?
So I got this wrong a couple of weeks ago,
You did.
but actually it's June the 9th, and that is going to be everywhere on June the 9th. One quite cool thing that we will be doing though, certainly for the PC fans, is to allow them to preload prior to that. We haven't actually set a date as to when the preloads are going to be available, but I see no reason why it shouldn't be at least 4 or 5 days before. So if you have terrible internet, you should still be able to have the game ready to play on the day.
Great, another question in from Chris Jacobs. Who's in charge of the weather for dailies? Good question.
Well, actually, the server's in charge of the weather for the dailies now. There is an algorithm behind it, which may or may not have been designed by me. Did consider a bad mood setting for the server, so the server could get down in the dumps and it just rain all week. But yeah, all of the weather is on a predetermined algorithm, so it's random.
Rightio. So we've also got another question. Will it be available in disc version? The short answer to that is yes, it will be available on disc for every platform, so PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Flying in very quickly, do you want to go to one that we've already had as well, so I can
yeah, well actually
the
top question was, can we show off a replay? And that's exactly what Mike's doing now. Well read, Robson.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the replay stuff that we've done for this, especially knowing that your stage is obviously procedural tracks running through these landscapes, so where we position the cameras, how we position them is something that we've had to work pretty hard to get the similar level of footage captured in the game. But something you can see here at the moment is the helicopter cam now. Helicopter cam we now have running through the whole stage, so if you want to, you can watch the entire replay from helicopter cam. You can obviously watch it from the onboard cameras as well, or you can do this kind of highlights reel that we've traditionally done. So it should give those guys that want to capture their moments a bit more of an opportunity to do that. We've also allowed you to do a broadcast mode where you can actually hide the user interface so it doesn't keep popping up every time you touch a control. Which means that once you've got your head around what the controls are, you can actually do a bit of editing in the background and be choosing what cameras are being shown without the interface popping up the whole time. So that should make it a bit nicer for you to get your footage together.
The other exciting thing about that is broadcast mode is also in multiplayer. So you can join a lobby as a broadcaster and not play, but you can cycle between the replay cameras in the lobby and watch other people race and then stream that or say
it's awesome. So we've got a request in here for you, Mike. So once this is finished playing through, get ready to generate. It'll be Wales in the sunshine using a Fiesta R5 with sim mode. All assists off, please.
Has that person ever been to Wales? They say sunny.
Sunshine in Wales. I mean, it probably happens.
Hey, we can dream.
Years. We've got a request in there, so we'll be going for that next.
Some of the more astute fans will have noticed that we've actually got Nicky Grist sat in the car here. Not just his voice, but we scanned his face, and so his actual co-driver model is of him. The same has been done with Jen Horsey as well. So if you choose Jen as your co-driver, then she'll be appearing in the car sat next to you as well.
Yeah. So another question from McGrath. I assume, like in Dirt Rally, you can break the headlights.
Oh yeah.
Mike's actually done a pretty good job of not breaking the headlights. Yes, that is definitely something you can do. We've actually separated them out a little bit more now, so breaking the lamp pod and breaking the headlights happens a bit more independently. I think previously one big impact and you'd lose everything and be plunged into darkness. The other really cool thing with our new lighting is that when you do get plunged into darkness, we've kind of simulated the way your eyes would adjust to the moonlight. So what happens in a real rally car when the light pods go out is you just get plunged into total darkness. You can't see anything, but then your eyes do start adjusting to the ambient light and you can start to see a little bit more. So that is a nice touch, I would say. As is this podium sequence where you can see your driver and co-driver stood outside the car waving to the crowd and celebrating. Just extra elements like this really build on the atmosphere that we've added to the game. I think it's fair to say that Dirt Rally was very focused and concentrated on the driving experience, but once you got out of the event, you didn't really feel like you were part of a team. You didn't really sit within the environment as much. So now we've got the service area on the way into the stage, and we've got the podium sequence on the way out. If you don't finish on the podium, we'll just park the car back up in the service area, and you'll see you having a bit of a debrief with your chief mechanic, talking about what went wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing is about those service areas as well, so I'm sure you can tell us a little bit more, but when you start getting further into the game and have your own team, with your own branding and your own colours, that starts to appear in those areas, and it adds that extra level of immersion where it's like, this is really cool because it matches my team, my motorsport team, so that's great. So we can just see that Mike's generated a lovely Welsh stage. So he's picked the white Fiesta R5 as per one of the requests that came in, so hopefully you're looking forward to seeing that. And just generating stages, you can hit square or whatever button it is on your respective platform as many times as you want.
I think he's hoping to find one that isn't. That's quite a nice one running by the
pretty.
lake. So.
Yeah, we like that.
So a bit of sunshine.
See, there's a lot of elevation there as well. It's going to be tough, Mike.
Clatter Lake. Yeah, we also generate the names of the stages as well. So
procedurally, yeah. We
we
didn't just make up an infinite number of names for each stage.
There are a few hilarious ones that crop up every now and then, especially in Australia. So I'm sure some of you will appreciate that when you actually get your hands on the game and start generating away.
So we're going to Clatter Lake.
Clatter Lake, I like that name. It's very much respective of what I imagine it to sound like. Just clattering. I'd be clattering my way through that bad boy. Right, let's have a look and see if we've got any more questions through. Any chance of a demo version before buying?
So we've got no plans for a demo version just yet, but that's not to say that that can't happen. It's probably more likely to be something like a time-limited weekend where you can try the game out, but that's not really up to us. It's whether the business decides to do it later on. So no plans at the moment, but hopefully seeing all the footage coming out of streams like this, and we'll be releasing some gameplay videos as well for you to go through. You should get a pretty good feel of what's available in the game and whether it's worth playing.
Great, so let's just see what we've got coming through. So Tristan Watkins says, how about a randomly generated track? And actually, pleased to say that everything we've shown you so far is a randomly generated track.
Everything has been procedural.
Yes.
Yep.
So that's good news. Let's see what else we've got. Is there a rewind function when you race? That's from Justin Mallory.
So we haven't got any flashback functionality in the game, and that's a lot of that is down to the design decision of this is an endurance sport. Rally racing is all about kind of pacing yourself and ploughing on regardless. Obviously you want to pace yourself as quickly as you feel comfortable doing, but if you can just rewind every mistake you make, then the damage and the endurance aspect of the sport gets lost. So as we did with Dirt Rally, we've continued to not have flashbacks in Dirt 4. On top of that, you can actually choose to reduce the number of restarts and get rewarded based on that. So it's just really feeding into that endurance aspect of the sport, and that's why we've made that call.
Yeah, so we've got another question here from another Brandon. Can you customise your cars? We've just alluded to that a little bit previously, but again.
Yeah, so it's a livery customisation, and it's done in the form of a branding suite. So we give you some patterns, and then you can apply different paint materials, carbon fibre, and different hues and colour values to those patterns. So we've got 4 different colours that you can apply to each pattern, which gives you some pretty decent combinations. Those patterns are slightly different depending on the car, so our artists have set the cars up so that the patterns are complementary to the style of car that they are. But then your team colours will then apply to all vehicles that you own in your garage. So it just means that when you jump into your Mark II Escort, it will still have your team identity with all your sponsors on it. On top of that, you can put your driver name on the side. That will appear either on the front panel or on the window, depending on what sort of car it is. You can choose a driver number as well, which gets shown on the car. And all of those can be coloured differently, so that depending on what colour scheme you're going with, you can actually make a sort of number and driver name colour that complements that. So I think it's really nice to have that whole sort of team branding element in the game. It's something that we know the Grid franchise use a lot, and it's nice to get it into Dirt now. It gives you that sense of ownership over the cars that you've got in your garage. I think it's a really nice addition.
It's cool because the more you play through your career and you build your team and upgrade your facilities, you can find more sponsors. So at the start you register with one on, but as you sign more sponsorship deals, you'll end up with more logos on your car, and then you can sort of change the placement of them and make it look how you want it to look.
It's great, and it really gives you that sense of starting out as a clubman in your sort of white Subaru with one sponsor on the side, and going all the way through to world class level. That's not to say that we're forcing you to start a team. If you just want to play the game and be a driver for hire, you can play through the entire game and never have to take responsibility for hiring and firing staff and contracts and all of that kind of stuff. You can just jump in the car. The team will take a bigger cut, obviously, because they're essentially providing you with tools to go rallying. But I think it's just one of those really nice choice things that you can have.
That actually feeds into one of the other questions was, can you go into more details on what owning a car does in terms of its stats?
Yeah, so the stats for the car are unique to that car, and where in the past with our games, when you bought a car, it's just been a generic version of that car. We now have this sense of cars being unique within the game, so certainly from a historic car point of view, although you can buy more modern cars from the classifieds as well, we have a classified system where we will be cycling the cars that are in there, and the market will have cars available and then they'll disappear again. So if you're looking for a particular car, you have to keep checking back in the classifieds and see if it's available, which means that for the daily and weekly owner events, sometimes an owner's event will become available and it'll be for, say, the Lancia Fulvia. You'll go into the classifieds, but there's no Fulvia available on that day, so you've got to keep like going back and checking every 3 hours or so to see if it's there.
But then if you hire your private collector, then they'll be able to find you better cars and better range of classifieds, and then you'll have more cars available to purchase. So it's really cool, all the little elements feed into each other.
Definitely, and that again, it's one of those depth things where, okay, by having better facilities, suddenly it's more likely that you'll be able to find the car that you're looking for. But it may be that you go to the classifieds and there's actually a couple of the same car available.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about that is that you can then be choosing the car that you're buying based on the parts that it's already got applied to it. So if you go to a real world rally classifieds, you'll see that a car's had its suspension rebuilt and it's got a new engine in it, and the seats are in date and all of that kind of stuff. And what we've tried to do is capture some of that in the way that the classified system works, to mean that, you know, sometimes you'll get a super rare car that's got completely brand new parts in it, and you're like, actually this is cool because it saves me from having to go out and put all that stuff on there.
Yep.
Conversely, you can also get a complete howler of a car that you have to essentially restore yourself and build from the ground up. But you know, the choice is there, and I think that's one of the key takeouts. We've added so much more choice to everything.
Cool. And sort of on damaging your car, there's quite a few questions on damaged kind of competitors on the side of tracks, kind of wildlife and kind of moments that shock you. What have you got in the game that kind of expresses that level of immersion within kind of like the environment?
Yeah, I'll take that one as well. I think it's so we have a lot of moments in our stages, and it's kind of like the whole reason we did stage generation was to take away that sense of I can learn this stage and just master it, and it's all about making a rally game actually feel like what rallying is, which is listening to your co-driver and reacting to what they're saying. So once you're getting that kind of teamwork between you and your co-driver, you then get into a state of flow where you're listening to the information coming in, you're reacting to it, you're flowing through the stage. But to really capture the essence of what it's like to go rallying, you need to have these things occurring that take your concentration away or force you to have to react, despite the fact that you're already having to react to what your co-driver's saying. So it's just kind of it's these moments that are essentially we're directing them, we're choosing when we're throwing them at the player, but as a result it means that you might suddenly have a helicopter appear on stage in front of you that's kicking up a big cloud of dust, and it's how do you react to that? Do you let it put you off, or do you just plough on regardless and deal with it? And that's what kind of distances the good sportsman from the great sportsman, is that ability to carry on regardless and not get fazed by stuff. There's a really wonderful moment when Colin McRae crashed, I think it was in the Wales Rally GB in 2001. He'd crashed, and when Richard Burns drove past him, he saw that Colin had essentially dropped out the rally, and that meant that he was going to be world champion. And he overshot the next hairpin and ended up like having to correct the spin and get back on stage and kind of regather his thoughts. But you know, someone as amazing as Richard Burns was kind of knocked off his stride by the fact that one of his competitors had retired at the side of the road, and that's exactly those sort of moments that we're trying to introduce into the game. To see how well you can react to them.
Cool, so we've got just quite a simple question from Harold. Is Mike driving with a wheel or pad, and what's he driving on?
So Mike is sporting a Thrustmaster T300 RS with a leather rim. He's also using the Thrustmaster Pro pedals. I'm not actually sure what their designation is, but they are the fancy metallic ones rather than the plastic ones that you get in the box. He sat in a pretty ghetto old play seat, which is not the most comfortable get up for him because Mike is actually about 6'3", I think. So he's kind of hunched up over this play seat at the minute. But it's a pretty decent setup. He's playing on PlayStation 4 as well, which I don't think we've mentioned, but some of you might have noticed with the buttons on screen. So yeah, he's essentially running a fairly standard setup. I think Mike does like to play with slightly reduced rotation. on the wheel, so he's probably knocked it down to more like 540 than your 900 that you would get if you were using soft lock. But hopefully that's allowing him to stay on the road, given that he hasn't got any game audio, so we'll give him this one. But hopefully you can see in the replays we've improved the animation of the wheel rotation, so now the driver's letting go of the wheel and re-grabbing it, and that's something that we haven't had for ages. And so hopefully you're enjoying what you see.
Right, so another request in. There's a few requests for Lowiak actually, so if you wouldn't mind diving into Lowiak in a supercar.
Do you want to take us through the car list
fantastic.
first?
Yeah, so a lot of you have been asking about the car list. So the car list doesn't have necessarily any surprises in it if you've watched the PlayStation Access video from the Barcelona event that we went to. Our licensing team, however, are very, very careful when saying yes, you're allowed to kind of write this down. But because we're live streaming and they can't say no, we're going to confirm that is the
They're going to come through. We should lock the door.
That is absolutely the car list. There aren't any surprises in there, but yeah, we're really proud of the car list. I think there's one or two in there which are really chuffed about, like the Evo 6.
Yep,
That's right.
Well, it was the biggest. I think it was the biggest request from Dirt Rally was to get the Evo 6 in there. So we did listen to that request, but obviously we put it into Dirt 4 instead.
That's why the car artist that worked on that, wasn't it? He was so psyched when he got given that job. It's like, can you make this Evo 6 please?
Yeah. So the first thing to note here is that we're in the modern rally section. So this is more contemporary cars that you'll see in events today. So we've got the R2 Fiesta and the Opel Adam. And then we can move to the kit cars, which we are still classing as contemporary vehicles, even though they're over 10 years old now. Still got the 306 Maxi in there and the Ibiza. We have got the full license liveries for both of these cars, although I think the 306 Maxi actually has that as a reward for doing something good later on in the game. Spoilers if I tell you what it is. So,
there it is.
So here's the Evo. Unfortunately we couldn't get the Tommy Mackinnon livery, but we were able to get the Katsu livery, which was used in I think the Pacific Rally Championship, but essentially it's the correct car, just with a slightly different livery, but we wanted to get those Rally Art colours on there. Again, the Colin McRae livery is a reward that you'll get later on in the game, so that's why we're showing the Arai livery here. The Repsol Carlos Sainz livery, and then we've got the Ford Motorsport Mobile 1 livery for the Escort Cosworth. The NR4 class, we've got the JRM Subaru NR4, and that's matched by the Evo 10. In the 2000s we've got the McRae 2001 Focus, we've got the Burns 2001 Impreza, again that's another livery that you'll be rewarded with for playing the game. And then we've got the Focus, which you'll see has a 5-speed manual sequential transmission, so hopefully that will please all the people that were complaining that it had 6 gears in Dirt Rally. And then the R5s, which is the pinnacle of our modern rally class. We've got the Fiesta R5, Peugeot 208, and the Mitsubishi Space Star, I believe it's called, which I'm not sure is actually ever going to get homologated now, and there's suggestions that it might be getting turned into a rallycross car, certainly the one that's over in the UK. If you pre-order the game, there's also the Hyundai i20 in there. We're not running a pre-order code here though, so we're not going to show it off just yet. For Landrush, we've got the buggies. We've also got rear-wheel drive stadium trucks, and we've got four-wheel drive stadium trucks. These have got NASCAR engines in them. They're completely ridiculous and highly enjoyable. We've also got the cross carts running in Landrush, as well as rallycross. Anyone who's from Scandinavia will be familiar with the cross cart. They're used in the junior series out there, and they're very, very cool. From a rallycross perspective, we've got the Super 1600s that people will be familiar with from Dirt Rally, with the addition of the VW Polo Super 1600 in there. We've actually removed the Opel Corsa as well. Oh no, it is there. Sorry, apologies.
Got that for free.
Yeah, we've got the RX2 cars, which used to be called Supercar Lights. and then mid-engine space frame, very cool. Got the 2016 supercars, so Ford Focus RSRX, the Peugeot 208. We've got the DS3, VW Polo, Ford Fiesta, Seat Ibiza, and then the Mini. The Mini's now got its 2-litre engine rather than the 1.6 engine that it used to run. Personal favourites of mine, the Group B rallycross cars. So we've got the S4, the RS200, the Peugeot 205, and the 6R4 as well. And for those of you wanting to know why we can't have the Audi, because it wasn't an officially recognised Audi Motorsport car, we couldn't put that in, unfortunately. And that applies to both the modern supercars and also the Group B ones. And then from a historic rally point of view, it's all the fan favourites that you'll remember from Dirt Rally. The key additions I think we go through are the Peugeot 205, which comes with the Richard Burns livery. Again, a nod to Richard Burns there. We've moved the classes around, some of you will have noticed, so they're not done by decades anymore. This is more about performance. So the Alpine's now been bumped into the same class as the 131 Abarth Cadet and the Escort. We've now got an H3 historic, which has the addition of the Opel Ascona, and we've also combined that with the M3, the Sierra, the Stratos, and the Renault 5 Turbo. And then we've got Group B rear-wheel drive. Very happy to have the Worth livery on the 037, coupled with the beautiful recording that the guys did of it. That's joined by the Manta, and then we've got the four-wheel drive Group B cars, now with the fully body-kitted Audi. But even with all that aerodynamics, it is still a complete pig to drive. So if you want to ask Mike to drive that, go for it.
Mike, can you drive the Audi clutch, please?
Cool. Any requests come through from that?
So
Yeah.
Rallycross is next, I think.
Yeah, rallycross supercar, please. It's Lowiak's the most requested stage. If we could go for a stage, a circuit. If you could go for Lowiak, and let's see if we've got any more questions that have come in. We did have one here, which was about the career mode. So, is there a career mode? And another question is, how long is the career mode, if there's a career mode?
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Because I played through it and I know how long it took me.
I've played through once and I haven't finished it yet, and
Yeah.
I'm about 20 hours in, so yeah.
Yeah, so if you're going for like getting to the sort of top event, it'll take you about 15 to 20 hours depending on how much other stuff you're doing and how much time you're spending managing your team versus just diving into events in and out and taking the critical path through. If you want to do everything, if you want to do every single event, then I reckon it was about 150 hours playthrough that I did on my... which is, optional. We're not forcing anyone to do that, but if you want to get all the achievements, all the trophies, then you're looking at a pretty significant amount of game there. The really beautiful thing about the career mode from a rally perspective is that we've been able to use your stage to generate the every single stage in every event, and that means that every stage is different, so there's no reuse of stages throughout the career, which is cool. I think it's a really nice thing to know that every event you go to will have a different feeling.
Yeah, exactly, and you get so much variety. So we've got a lot of stages in our career mode as well, and they don't ever feel samey because each one is unique. So, and then when you start layering in more difficult weather conditions as you work towards the end of the championship as well, there's a lot of variety in there.
I think that's it. Traditionally, we would layer in more difficult weather conditions, and that would be all we could really do from an environment and a track perspective to make the game more challenging. Now we've been able to curate every single stage all the way through the career, ensuring that when you leave the rally school, which we should probably talk about a bit later on, but when you leave the rally school and you embark on your actual career, you start on stages that are more appropriate for the level that you're at the start of your rally journey, and then we're able to add more and more complexity into the stages as we go along, ensuring that by the end of the game you're racing in stages that are pretty much as challenging as anything you would have faced in Dirt Rally or as you would face at a world level in the real sport. So that's been really, really useful, because traditionally, from a design perspective, we've had to pick 12 stages and use them across the entire game, which was, you know, something that we always got beaten up for because fans wanted more content.
Cool, so probably one for you, Darren. Multiplayer, lots of people asking, where's PvP, how is it going to work? You're the multiplayer man.
Yep, that's right. So as I alluded to earlier, I've been playing PvP almost non-stop for the last 5 weeks, and it's awesome. It's like, as Paul said with the career mode, the fact that we've got your stage fully integrated in PvP, and that's custom PvP, which is Jam Session, and ranked PvP, which is Pro Tour. Your stage is built into those modes, so every time you generate a stage in Jam Session, you're racing a new thing, or in Pro Tour, where we give you the stages because you're running on our playlist. The playlist doesn't pick an event made up of fixed stages anymore. It says, okay, well, this event is comprised of a relatively straightforward stage, and then a more difficult one, and then a medium one, and then like we can completely curate that playlist to be as difficult as we want it to be. The cool thing about the rank mode is you start off at the bottom of the ladder, and then as you climb up, the events get longer, and then they get more complex as well. So it just means that we can add like so much more variety into the playlist, and then it means that in Jam Session you can set up your own lobby, people can join you, and then you can generate stages on the fly in the lobby and set up multi-event championships. So it's not just events anymore, you can set up multi-stage events and multi-event championships.
Cool, and just on that, will there be multiplayer rallycross?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. And don't forget, we also have Landrush as well,
Yep,
which I believe is 8-person PvP?
Yes, that's right, yeah. So, yeah, all our disciplines are supported in multiplayer this time. I know we missed out on Rally PvP and Dirt Rally, so we've got all the disciplines, you can race all the cars, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So let's see what else we've got here. So we've had a question in about the two handling modes. What's the difference between them, and which one's fastest? Which is a little bit of a loaded question, but
Well, I mean, you
I'll
can
throw it out there.
guess
It's come-
probably
it's
which
come
one
from
is
the guys.
fastest.
So the way we've done it is to essentially split the two handling modes. So gamer is, I guess, if you're already good at racing games, or you are traditionally a sim player, and you were to use the gamer handling, you would be able to drive the car faster than you would be able to in sim. And that's exactly why we've split the leaderboards, and we've split all of our competitive modes.
That's
so that
right.
players who are playing with the gamer handling are competing against other players with the gamer handling. Players playing with sim competing against other sim players.
Same for your dailies, weeklies and monthlies as well.
Exactly.
Like in PvP you're match made separately, and in async you're on separate leaderboards, so it's a completely separate experience.
And that comes from the fact that the way that we've set up the gamer handling is to allow players to make more rookie mistakes when they're driving, I guess, and get away with it. So that means braking later, that means turning into the corner later. All of that stuff that when you're using the simulation handling, you need to think about quite in advance of the corner that you're going into, so that you're setting up the weight of the car in the right place to get the right grip where you need it to be. Whereas for the gamer setting, a lot of that stuff is less important, so that you can get away with not doing it properly but still enjoy the game. What we found is that players who start playing with gamer eventually get to a point where they start wanting to move across onto simulation and enjoy the cars for what they really are, but we couldn't expect everybody to just jump in on simulation and learn how to drive a rally car, even though we've layered in the rally school and all of those extra elements that do give you the training. We still found that players were struggling and getting frustrated with the game, so our solution for that was with the gamer handling, and it feels great. I think the key thing is this isn't us just taking simulation and layering a load of assists on it and kind of making it all feel muted and kind of holding the player back. You still feel like you can have a lot of fun, and the car is still really dynamic in gamer handling. It's just not, you don't need a degree in automotive engineering to get the best out of it.
No, that's really great. So let's see who's got some questions.
Have we got any requests? Because Mike's just finished his.
So we've had
rallycross
had
race.
a request for Landrush in one of the 900 brake horsepower Pro Truck 4s. So it's,
Probably do that in the full rain as well, Mike.
Yeah, full rain in Baja.
Rear-wheel drive truck, did we say?
Yeah, well,
No?
let's go for it. You can do it. But I really love this like extra level of immersion. Having gone to rallycross races and seen the podium and seen the confetti, this kind of extra level that we didn't have in rally really just makes you feel as though you're part of something bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really important thing to kind of ground you in the scenario of the service area, and it's really clever how the guys set it up to work. So when you load into your rally stage, the service area exists as part of that environment. And certainly from the rallycross point of view, you can sometimes spot it from the replay cameras. You can see where your service area is in the paddock area. So
that was a challenge that the Your Stage guys had to face, was like every time you proceed to generate a stage, got to have a service area in there as well.
Right, so while Mike's running through that, should we talk a little bit more about the rally school, because we touched on it a little bit earlier?
Yeah.
And also what that particular area in the game can also be used for, because I think that's kind of key to a few of the modes.
Yeah, so obviously with rally we touched a little bit on what you need to do to handle a rally car, because for anyone who's used to driving cars on loose surface is a very different beast. So the techniques that you apply, while some are appropriate in normal motorsport, many are quite unique to off-road racing. So it was also one of the most requested things after the Evo 6 was a rally school for Dirt Rally, and so we set about making that for Dirt 4 as one of the first things we did. We looked at a number of rally schools around the world, and the one that really resonated the most with us was Dirtfish out in Washington State in America. It's actually where they filmed the TV show Twin Peaks back in the 90s, for anyone who was who can remember that. I feel like I'm one of the few. But no, it's a really good location. It's a big open area around a lumber mill where you can drive in and out of the buildings, so it has some kind of similarities to how Battersea was in Dirt 3, which is cool as well. But when you first arrive there, it is as a rally school, so you're doing various tutorials and techniques which Jen Horsey will guide you through as your instructor. We've got basic and advanced. We're not forcing you to do anything there. Just dip in and try some of the techniques out, and you'll get to grips with how it all feels. And then when you leave the academy, you'll go off and embark on your rally career. But when you go back to it, you can go back and do refresher courses at any time, but you can also go back to it and do Joyride there, which is where the time attack and smash attack modes are. So it's a cool open area to muck about in, and you can also do live tuning there, so you can take your rally car in and start tweaking the setup, and then essentially just pause, tweak setup, and then carry on again, so you can see how those changes are affecting the car, not necessarily out on stage, but out in an open area where you can really feel the car moving around underneath you.
Yep, so we've had this is a fun question from Jimmy. Pick a favourite car, each person, please. So, Darren, I'll let you...
Escort Mark II every time.
Really?
Yeah, I love seeing the way it evolves through our games. So, like in Dirt Rally, I've played it a lot, and then seeing how much it's come on in this game always gives me that point of reference. But yeah.
Did you get to drive one last year as well? Or have I made that up?
Yeah,
How was that?
It was amazing. It was so cool. Yeah, we went to a rally school for a press day and got to do a few laps of their test track, and then we did a little time trial challenge as well with a handbrake turning it. Yeah,
I had to watch it.
You were too busy working.
Paul, do you want a little bit more time, or?
Well, I'm interested to know what yours is actually.
So I've kind of got two. One's kind of a very sentimental thing. I love the Corsa purely because the Corsa was my very first car, and it's so awesome to, obviously not as speedy in any way, shape or form. It's so awesome to fire up a game like, oh my, I owned a version of that. That's
right.
And to go in as that wheel, different to what I have, but I can imagine it. I probably drove as though I was driving an RX car, but probably personally between the RS200 and the Impreza 2001.
Yeah.
It's classic Burns.
I get that affinity with the 306 as well. Actually, that was my first car. So yeah, every time I see that, I think
It's just a little heartwarming moment where you're like,
yeah.
oh, hey old pal, how you doing?
Yeah.
I'm about to drive you into a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, we don't have any Honda Civics in the game, and that was my first car, so no stress there. I have always said the Lancia Delta Integrale every time I've been asked this question since Dirt 3 when somebody asked me back then.
Are you bored of this question yet?
No. What I would like to say though is that the 037 is probably my favourite car in this game. I think my favourite car of all time has always been the Integrale, and it probably always will be. But the 037 has come alive with the sound of that supercharger now, and absolutely love it. It's a hell of a challenge to drive, especially in sim mode. But
8th, Michael.
it just sounds so amazing there. So yeah, really happy that we've managed to secure that.
So after this replay, we'll go into our final stage of our stream. It's been requested that you play the Mitsubishi R5 in Sweden. We'll let you pick just how difficult or complex the stage will be and what kind of weather conditions you've got. But
Short, non-complex, midday.
Yeah, straight down the line. Right, what else have we got? So simulation mode. So will the physics be identical to Dirt Rally or modified?
So we've made a number of improvements to what we had in Dirt Rally, which was a great starting point. It was a really good foundation for us to build on, and we would have been crazy to throw any of that stuff away, but we know that the aerodynamics weren't as good as they could have been, and we also weren't particularly happy with how our chassis geometry was being modelled. It was actually relatively primitive in some areas, so big improvements to aero and big improvements to the chassis geometry stuff as well. It's stuff that does make quite a difference when you, for example, drive the BMW M3 versus a Mark II Escort. The way that the rear axle is set up and the suspension is set up at the back is quite different in those two cars, and where previously we would model them in a very similar way, now those nuances that come from the different chassis setups are modelled much better. So yeah, it's all iterations now rather than big sweeping changes. I think probably the biggest change is the RX tyre, which we worked really hard to improve, because we knew that things weren't quite right with it in Dirt Rally. So we spoke with Cooper Tyres, got as much data from them as possible, and then built out from there. But probably the most important thing has been, after doing all of those improvements, getting Chris Meek and Pat Solberg involved to help us dial in the setup. Both of those guys are perfectionists. Both of those guys spend a lot of time with their engineers dialing in the setups of the car, and they did exactly the same thing with our simulation engineers. So that was sitting down, playing the game, asking for, I think the primary thing was a bit more of a responsive turn-in from both the rallycross and the rally cars, which our guys dialed in through tweaks to the differentials and stuff. But it wasn't like they had to throw everything away and start again. This wasn't like anything more than tweaking the setups of the car and making sure that we were maximising the potential of the cars that were already there.
Great, so we've got a question that's coming from Cornelius, and he's just asked, what about customising the driver? So what are your options there?
So you can choose what your driver looks like, or you can choose to keep them in a full face helmet so you never actually see them. So that's male and female, and many different choices within those. They are predefined models though. It's not like you can go in and give them a long nose or big wide mouth or whatever. It's like they are predefined models based on scans that we've done of actual models, and myself and other people like Nikki. So they are much better character models than we've had before in a dirt game, I think. And you'll see that in the crowd as well. You might catch Darren standing at the side of the road, or as a marshal at the end of the stage.
Yeah, I might set you off, or I might slow you down at the end.
So all of that stuff has been improved, but certainly from a choice perspective, you do get some choice rather than just being given a generic person.
Great, so I guess kind of a nice question that's come in is, what for each of you, what's the thing you're most excited about people getting their hands on?
PvP, always Yeah, just because I've had so much fun with it. It's been fun to work on and it's been fun to play. And your stage adds so much to it.
Yeah. I mean, the fantastic thing for me is if we're going to be, doing any special clubs or events.
Absolutely.
Not going into too much detail at this stage, but if we want to do that, we can basically set a level playing field. We can, with kind of all knowledge, set a challenge that we know no one will know the order of the corners
Exactly.
and the way it runs. And for me, that's the most exciting thing, because we have some absolutely amazing drivers who have managed to learn the stages of Dirt Rally over hundreds of hours of play.
Yeah.
And you can really kind of improve your driving there, but to a certain extent it is almost going through something you've rehearsed. Whereas what this offers is an experience that you will not know what's around the next corner.
Yeah, I know that some of the guys on the forum know that somebody will see a stage come up in the daily and then they'll go and hot lap it in custom event and they'll just absolutely nail it and get their practice done, and then they'll go in and play the stage and just blitz it, whereas they can't do that now. You can go to the stage and have a shakedown, get your setup correct, but once you commit to it and set out on the stage, it'll be brand new for everybody. So yeah, that's another dynamic that your stage has added.
One key thing to mention though is if you do love a stage and you do want to hot lap it, we're not saying you can't do that. You can absolutely save it to your favourites. You can even share it with your friends. And if you wanted to set up an event which was all the same stage over and over again, you can do that. But it's just that we've taken that limitation of there are 12 stages in the game and that's all you've got to play with, and we've kind of just blown the limit wide open. So near infinite combination of stages. When you throw in all the different weather conditions, the fact that the weather can close in during a stage as well. So we're not going to see it here, I don't think, but you can have mist patches, you can have rain that intensifies and then fades away. Same with the snow. That can start actually fairly innocuous bit of snowfall, and then by the end of it you're almost in a whiteout because the amount of particles flying around on the screen. So there's just that so much more variety to the whole experience, and it should give so much more longevity to the game that you're playing. I know that people are still playing Dirt Rally for thousands and thousands of hours, and I think the depth of the handling really enabled that sense of coming back and having another go. But to have that depth of handling and then layer in the near infinite number of stages has really, for us, been absolutely the most important thing. And the way that we can use it in the career and in our competitive events, the way that you guys will be able to use it when you're setting up your events, I think it is a genuine game changer, and I'm really excited to hear people's opinion on it when they start playing it.
Yeah, and there's things for me personally that I can't wait for people to experience. So I'm sure, as you guys did, as I did, as probably a lot of you did, I grew up playing Coleman Pro Rally, and to finally hear Nicky Grith's voice is just, it's a little bit magical.
I had an amazing moment when Nicky was in the studio. We just popped our head in just to say hello and just watch the first of the recordings. I saw him and was like, oh man, that's Nicky Grith. And then he opened his mouth and said, I was like, oh my god, it's Nicky Grith. As soon as you hear his voice, that memory just comes flying back.
Yeah. He's the real deal. And when he came in to record his lines, which took him a long, long time, we also sort of borrowed a few minutes off him for an interview. I don't know if some of you have seen a part of that interview where he was telling us an awesome story about Colin at the Acropolis Rally, which is incredible, but that is just one of a many number of tales that he's got in his bank. And the amazing thing for me is that when he was kind of telling these stories, he would just memorise the pace notes. So he'd be like, oh, so before this corner it was this, and this. I'm like, this is a 20-year-old story, and you know exactly what corner you're on about. He's the real McCoy, and to have him in the game and kind of knowing his experience and then knowing his voice from previous games and then finally having him in Dirt 4 is amazing. And the same goes for Jen too. I remember her voice from Dirt 3, and it's so awesome to have that element come back in. And for me, I can have an all-female car if I wish to. I can have a female driver in my career mode, and then I can have Jen telling me what to do. And that's something actually that's really quite unique to Dirt. I don't see any other kind of games allowing that level of personalisation, and that's a really nice thing. That's awesome to me, because I don't like being told what to do, but if I'm going to be told what to do, I don't mind Jen doing it for me. So let's have a look at other questions. So this is a popular question. You guys must have been asked it 1,000 times. It's VR. Are we doing Dirt 4 VR?
We don't know yet. We know how we would do it, because obviously we have a lot of experience of doing it with Rally, both on PC and on PlayStation. But we haven't made the decision on doing it. We certainly couldn't do it as part of the development because this has already been a very big game and has taken a huge amount of effort for us to get this to where it is now, and to throw the VR curveball in there as well probably would have been the straw that broke the camel's back. But you know, certainly not saying we're not doing it. It's just a case of if and when we can get the business proposition together, then we'll make the decision. So yeah, no decision's been made yet, but we're certainly not saying that we're not doing it.
That's a great effort by Mike there in
Really
Sweden.
ran me over there.
We've had a request. Can we see the replay from spectator only view, please, Mike? If you could fulfil that for our good friend Greg.
Oh, Greg Finchbar.
Yeah, he's on the stream. Good to see you,
Hi, Greg.
How's it going? And let's see what else we can find here. Very vague question here that we're probably not going to be able to answer, but what is the future like? I'm going to say it's pretty bright for Dirt at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got some post-launch stuff, which I don't know if you want to go into.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's going to be bringing leagues from Dirt Rally, which we're now going to call clubs, and then adding that further on down the line. But it'll be exactly as you remember it in Dirt Rally, but it's going to be even more improved. So there'll be better improvements to the UI in the game, and then there'll be more settings on the website that you can customize yourself. So yeah, that's going to be the big thing. And then just addressing any feedback that we get from the community. You know, it'll all be rolled into the same thing. So see what people like, see what people don't like, see what we can improve on, and see what we can make, see what people are enjoying, and see if we can put more of that in the game.
Yep, and then we've got a question here from Sean. Would it be possible to play it on PS Vita? And I have the answer to this.
Yes.
That's right. So if you saw our Dirt Rally our Dirt 4 roadbook earlier on today, we actually confirmed the initial list of supported peripherals. If you head over there, you can actually see that PS Vita is on the list.
So we should say it's on there as remote play, so you can remote play Dirt 4 on your. But yeah, there isn't a full
as a peripheral
Vita retail release, but yeah, we have remote play for PS4 support.
Yep. Another question in from Chris. Will there be Crest for Dirt 4?
Well, yeah, eventually there will be. Not at launch, but it's something that we're going to add as part of our update down the line.
Yeah, again, this is because of the massive challenge that your stage has presented. This is a completely new technology for us, and representing that in-game has been challenging enough, but then to do that on the website as well, it's just another thing that we're pushing to a bit later on.
Yeah,
but we want to get it right. We didn't want to just chuck all this stuff in and then have it all like a bit flaky and not really giving you the user experience that you want. So it was important for us to take a bit more time to make sure that we can nail that as best we can.
Sort of thing that becomes more important as the game matures as well. It's not the sort of thing that you need at launch. It's the sort of thing that later on, once you've finished career mode and you've built your team up and you're starting to really try and nail down both your performances and your comparison against other people, that's when you really need something like Crest.
So another question. How many kebab pizzas will be in the game? That's from Eric.
Well, another question.
That is
a good question.
It's a strong question.
Maybe some.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
It might make an appearance.
It might. It could well do. I mean,
yeah.
We're not going to rule that out.
Go looking for it. Maybe you'll find it.
Maybe it'll be one of those random things that occurs on one of the stages.
That's right, yeah, maybe you won't see it every time.
That's true, could be. And then we've got another question from Ryan. Any plan for esports? So, I would say, down the line, yes. Certainly once we start bringing the club functionality in, we have all the tools to be able to do something really, really special. And actually, when we've been working with Petter, he's very much said, I want to throw down a time, and if anyone can beat me, then I will let them drive my car. So,
which he seems to do at every event that we run with him.
Every time. He is desperate for someone to beat him. He's such a competitive man, like both obviously on the track and even just in the game, that he is more than happy to set that challenge and see the best that you guys can do. So that's pretty awesome.
I think Robson could give him a run for his money.
I think so too. Look at this. Skillful. Incredible stuff. Here we go. And a question from Johnny. In multiplayer, will stages be staggered start or purely time-based?
So it's not staggered start. It is time based. So yeah, everyone sets off at the same time, and then everyone gets their time and finish.
And will there be ghosts?
Not in rally.
Cool. We have another question. We want more rallycross everything. I mean, the thing is that we love working with the guys
That's right.
over at the FIA World Rallycross Championship to get their full and appropriate title in. Their drivers are awesome. The sport is awesome. It's the fastest growing motorsport kind of the hour, and we have some fun stuff to show you in the coming weeks, I would say, that focuses a little bit more on that particular partnership. Obviously, we had the interview dev diary with the drivers, which was really wonderful, and there we go. Just as we were mentioning earlier, if you can have a
I think
quick
they've really
look
nailed
at
the
that.
likeness, and that is my coat as well.
Yeah, I've seen you come into work wearing that.
What's really weird is when you take the hood off, he's actually got no head.
Completely bald.
Great, so we've been broadcasting an hour now, so we're going to wrap it up here, but thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for watching.
It's been really good fun. We hope you enjoyed it just as much as we did, just as much as Mike did by the big smile on his face. If
It's relief.
Yeah, if there are any questions that you feel like you've missed, please just throw them on our Facebook page, on Twitter, on Reddit, etc. We'll be more than happy to go through and kind of readdress those, either kind of in a comment or in a further Dirt show. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us, and yeah, we'll see you next time. If there is a next time, there will be a next time.
There will be a next time.
Thank you.